Hello and a warm welcome to Forever Blues, your podcast for all things Birmingham City. My name's Neil Moxley, my co-host is Colin Tattam. As always, our grateful thanks to Davison's Law for sponsoring this podcast. Without further ado, we're going to get into it and a brief recap of the goings on at St Andrews on Monday night, a 2-1 victory over Watford. Cole, what was your sort of main takeaway from that one?
It was a different kind of win, wasn't it? The previous home games that Blues had sort of blown away teams, and this was really hard fought when they had to work for it, and I think they showed different side to themselves as well, didn't they? They had to be quite resolute. I think it's possibly the first game in a long time where the opposition just shaded it in terms of overall possession. I mean, second half, obviously, Watford were desperately trying to get back into it, and Blues had to be very resolute defensively and in their structure and in their shape. Obviously, it's chucking down with rain as well. So it was a really good, gritty win. I mean, they're Watford, for me, a bit of an odd side. They've got some very good players, you can see that. But are they a team in the truest sense of the word like Blues are at present? I don't think so. But yeah, it was a testament to really obdurate, hardworking performance with those interlaced with moments of skill, not least with the 2 goals and other little bits of passages of play.
Yeah, interlaced. Not that one.
Thank you.
Well done, mate. Yeah, I thought I agree with you wholeheartedly. It was. I thought Watford came for a game of football, unlike some teams that have come. I'm not saying they haven't come with a game plan, but I think they just basically came for a game of football. Interestingly, I spoke to somebody yesterday connected with Watford, and they can't quite work out. He felt they can't quite work out yet what they are. I mean, sometimes they'll split the centre half, sometimes they'll belt it long. You couldn't quite see, but there was absolutely a goal threat there. And I thought, in terms of Imran Loser, I thought, he made 1 or 2. But I'm looking at his general distribution, made right decisions on them. You can always tell class players, they make the right decisions time after time after time on the ball, whether it's, a 6-yard ball in front of them or a crossfield pass 30, 40 yards. And I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
But it was, they're coming with the tails up on the back of a 5-game unbeaten run. Nobody's really expecting to lose. Pressure's on Blues. They've coped with the pressure again, and sort of like dug out a win in tricky circumstances. So I think everybody would have been really heartened by the fact, walking home sopping wet, no doubt, as we all were, that they'd carried off another 3 points.
Yeah, and I think I saw in the aftermath people were sort of from the Watford sort of end were saying, our mistakes cost us again, and it's like I think it's a little bit disrespectful to Blues because they forced those errors for the 2 goals in particular. And Chris Davies always says throughout to all the players, and in fact it's a mantra throughout all the age groups at Blues. It's press to score.
Right.
Get a turnover high up, and that's a way to try to score a goal. That's an opportunity to score a goal, and true to fashion, the 2 goals came from that. Dispossession high up the pitch, and excellent finishes from Paik Seung-ho and Demarai Gray, and that the angle of Demarai Gray's sort of curl of the whip on it and everything, it was just sensational. That's the quality he possesses.
Yeah, it was a great shot with the ball hitting the net and all the rain falling off the net as well. Would have been a great shot for Snapper to got one of those shots.
Like you said, though, at 2-0 up against a good team, a decent side, and Blues thereafter, their game management. It was a start the second half, possibly a little bit, I'd say rocky, but Watford forced a lot of corners, didn't they, as well? But then the game management, as I said, that there's a togetherness about them. They know what they're doing. They know what they should be doing, and you can see it. I keep saying it, that the team is evolving, growing, and the club is on an upward trajectory. Watford, I think I mentioned it, Ipswich at the start of the season. They're trying to find out what they are again.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
We know,
Yeah.
and obviously the result took us right onto the fringe of the top 6, which is very interesting. It's like Blues are now on your shoulder. Everybody, watch out.
Yeah, I mean, just going through a couple of the individual performances, thought Dimmy was excellent. That's the best game I've seen him play for Blues, the game against Norwich. Thought I know he was expecting a lot against West Brom. and he didn't really. I thought he had a poor evening at the Hawthorns. But I actually thought he was best back to his, approaching his Norwich standards in that game against. I thought he was excellent.
And people often double up and are quick to close him down. Let's not forget that they show him a lot of respect because they know how good he is. So he's having to work almost doubly hard sometimes when he's receiving the ball.
Yeah, I mean, well, the one thing I would say, and it's as a middling left back myself back in the day, the one thing that he does for Alex. All right, not very good.
Yeah, okay.
The one thing that he does for Alex Cochrane that needs to, he's always available. If you put yourself in Cochrane's shoes and Cochrane's looking for a ball forward, or sideways, and he hasn't got one, Demarai is always there, and he's prepared to take the ball under really, really close supervision from his marker. Because you're right, generally speaking, people have doubled up on him this season. So I think it's a real overlooked fact that the guy will take ball in a pressure situation and can keep it and can get us up the pitch with it as well.
Very much like Patrick Roberts on the other side.
Yeah.
So those elements of quality, like you said, it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you have confidence in your teammates and you can take a ball, maybe a difficult ball, and you can see it, nobody really dives in on either of those two players because they know how good they are.
Yeah.
So again, it's that level quality going up a notch from last season, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just a nice little follow through there. Obviously, Patrick Roberts had a new person behind him in Osayi-Samuel. How did you think he fared coming back into the side?
It's quite a tricky one for him because, as we know, that right back role now, you have got to be on it, and basically you're not just playing right back. You're not getting past the halfway line like the fullbacks of old, where you'd stay in your own half. You've got to be everywhere. You've got to be supporting on the outside, on the inside. You've got to be making inverted runs as well. You're joining the front line, and he's not played competitively for Blues for a long while. And obviously, he put a shift in 60 odd minutes. You could see it was. I wouldn't say he was blowing. That's probably disrespectful, but it was hard going.
Yeah, I think he was actually. There was a couple of times in the last 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden, he's got his breath back and he's belted down the right wing, and you think, oh, perhaps he just was getting his breath back after all.
But I think 100% that they'll be looking and working on his conditioning to ensure if he's going to have a run in the side, he can cope with that relentlessness of that role in particular. And again, going into a big game, the adrenaline's pumping. We've got a 2-0 lead, and then under pressure, it's he did what he had to do. And the right back spot is a very interesting one for Blues, isn't it? Tomoki Iwata obviously was suspended for the visit of Watford. Now he's available again. So does he go straight back in there? It will be interesting. So the manager's got that option. But overall, on the circumstance, he had to come in and perform. And let's not forget as well, Alphonse Stamsted, who's been, he's been in the old Jamie Clapham sort of cupboard, hasn't he? Sort of hidden away.
Jamie Clapham.
And basically he had to come on, and do a little cameo, which he did. And he's a good guy. He's an honest, reliable sort. He's got his head down, come on, and again did something for the team, which was important.
Yeah, it's likely that he will be called upon as well going forward because obviously Osayi-Samuel's going to the AFCON with the Super Eagles, and that takes place for those who don't know. I think in the final week of the week before Christmas, and then it carries through Christmas and another 3 weeks afterwards. So there's a fair chunk of games that Osayi-Samuel will miss. Obviously, with Lee Buchanan being out as well. I've just written a story for the Gimme Sport website saying Blues are targeting a left-back in the January window above all else. Slight cause of concern, do you think, with lack of cover? Or would you look at Jack Robinson as well as being able to come in?
You've got Jack Robinson there, and Lee Buchanan, he's on his way back. I know he's had a couple of minor setbacks, but again, would he be up to match sharpness speed if you needed to rely on him? But he's a very good player. I can understand why Blues are doing that. And if I turn it round, actually, Alex Cochrane, I think we mentioned it on the last podcast, that I think he's really sort of come into his own and found his feet at championship level now. I think he's been very good for Blues over the last few weeks, and he's reached a level of consistency. And he seems confident in himself that he belongs here at this level. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? We know, it's a tough position, and you're stepping up against players with more explosive power and probably more speed, sprint speed. So it is going to be tougher if you get isolated, but I think he's really come into his own, and also with his delivery on set pieces and that left foot of his, that's been a key factor as well, as has Tommy Doyle's delivery on set pieces.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Cochrane. I thought he was excellent at the Hawthorns. I really did think he shone. I mean, it was funny. I think there's a guy called Connor Townsend who played for West Brom, and I remember speaking to somebody about him. And there was I think West Brom played in a game at West Ham in an FA Cup tie, and all of a sudden he's if I've got his name wrong, I apologise. I'm of that age. But all of a sudden, West Brom felt that not so much that he cracked it, but something had actually twigged in his brain. I can play at this level. I belong here, and I think the same. I think you're right. I think the same's happened with Alex Cochrane via osmosis. Really, he's sort of been dropped into the mix, and he certainly looks the part.
Yeah.
I mean, if he had a yard more pace, I mean, you might potentially think he could step up again.
I think we all want a yard more pace, don't we? Although at our age, it's pacemakers, right? More than anything, isn't it?
So moving on just again to, I mean, another I thought outstanding, and he's not just for his goal contribution in the second, but Jay Stansfield. I mean, I know people have, we're not breaking any great exclusives here, but it should be commented upon. The guy's work rate, particularly in the final few minutes when he was charging around, was absolutely exemplary, and it really does need remarking upon again, I think.
Yeah, Chris Davies made a point after the game, didn't he? He said, look, he popped up in helping out the left-back position, like you said, charging back. You look at one of the counter-attacks that West Bromwich Albion had, he tore it up down the middle of the pitch to get back to make a timely interception to stop a potential goal. And then there's moments in games where he lifts the team almost. Because I recall the Blackburn Rovers away, it was him that started and sparked the sort of fight back.
Right.
Just by carrying the ball, driving with it, earning a free kick and what have you. And then he is quite a competitive, spiky character as well.
Yeah.
He will get in your face, and he winds the opposition up a little bit, but that has a positive effect on his teammates and the crowd. Like you said, his work rate. I remember for England in the under-21 Euros, he basically just ran himself into the ground. I actually felt sorry for him
because he wasn't getting
he wasn't getting into positions that you'd want as a striker to try and score on this, that, the other. But he did a massive job for the team in terms of the work rate and the chasing, the harrying, the pressing.
Yeah.
And in the end, they kept bringing him off, and it was others that took the glory.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a very unselfish individual in that respect, and also he's scored important goals. These numbers in terms of goals and assists stack up against anybody's.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good showcase for him, that second goal, in terms of what he's all about, really, wasn't it? He was unselfish, but he did use, it was a bit of quick thinking that got the ball out to Demarai for that second. I mean, I just wonder whether, in your opinion, do you think I know he's spiky, I like that side of him, I'm not trying to take that away from him at all, but obviously, 4 bookings now, 1 more, and he might be suspended for a period of time before Christmas, which wouldn't be ideal. Do you think he might have to have a word with Chris Davies, or do you think that natural edge you want to encourage that natural edge?
100% you want it, and especially in the forward. You don't want a shrinking violet who's just going to get bullied and just shrug the shoulders. No, obviously it's got to be channeled. He's got to be careful with it, but. It's an asset. It's part of his game. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. So no, long may it continue, and long may his form and development. Really, he's just 23 now. He's just going to get better, you'd imagine, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean the other one I really wanted to say something about, because I just think we just come to expect excellence as the norm. Excellence as the norm is Christophe Clara. I know he signed a new deal, which was great news for the club. But he just churns out these performances, and he's a proper leader. He's a proper captain. I think we joked, didn't we, earlier this season when there was that supposed fallout between Neumann and Clara, and Chris Davies said, well, my money's on Clara morning, noon and night. And I think most Blues fans, if you, by the way, guys, if you actually come up, and see any of these players face to face, as I once had an angry Ben Foster on my tail, they're actually bigger in real life than they appear on the pitch. It certainly goes for Christoph Clara. What do you think? We take his excellence a bit for granted and don't comment on it perhaps enough?
Yeah, it's a good point actually. He probably gets lost in the fact when Blues are winning and some of the football like we saw against Norwich, the one-touch stuff higher up the pitch. There has to be a base to it, and definitely he really is, as you said, it's a cliche, but he is a leader. He's Blues totem, isn't he? And as Barry Fry would say, when we had Liam Daesh,
Yeah.
If what was it? If
there was a double-decker bus,
he'd head it away. Yeah. All right, Barry. Yeah, we know what you mean, but yeah, interesting. But yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he's that sort of character, but he can play as well, and it's not also about that sort of like, brawn. He's got brain, and he's positioning as well. He knows, and when he steps forward as well, you often say, how often from last season since he's been here have we seen him just sort of camped out in the final third in the opposition's half? So he can do a bit of everything, but he's been an exceptional signing, and he just fits for what the club are doing and where the team want to go right now.
Yeah, the last player I want to have a quick chat about is Paik, because he still continues to divide opinion, and then he comes up with a goal like that. I mean, which was a real high quality strike. If you watch the slow-mo, he's cut his right foot across the ball. He meant to do it. It was a real class finish, and like we have commented on this before, but Chris Davies in his press conference when he was asked about Paik, he's probably the chairman of the Paik Seung-ho sort of fan club, to be perfectly honest with you. He said he's a superb player, blah 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 blah. So why is it he keeps getting potential? Why do we see negativity? I mean, he didn't play well at West Brom, but
yeah, I know what you're saying. When in the Championship, I was like, after he first joined, but then again the situation was very different. I guess it's because he just goes about his business. He's very professional. There's no fuss to him. He's very sort of undemonstrative, unflashy. So he probably doesn't, he doesn't grab or grasp the sexy headlines, does he? And he won't court that either. That's not him. But he's a very efficient, highly efficient. It's probably doing him a disservice. Plays off both feet, knows where to be. He's competitive, can tackle, and adding these goals to his game as he has done this season. I think Chris Davies had mentioned it, hasn't he? He said like in training when they're finishing, and you can see him, he's off both feet as well.
Yeah.
And so encouraging him to get into those positions, and like you said, the sort of deliberately hitting across the ball, putting that bit of swerve on it. It is a strange one. Maybe if like we go back to our mate Sav, if he went charging around, rattling into a few people, and then people might think, oh yeah, but he plays the game in his own way, and he's a very, very integral part to the team. Like Barry Ferguson was, I used to say he was the metronome that made Blues tick.
Yeah.
He's like the little general, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Paik is very much similar to that, but I do see the point. Some people are like,
Yeah, can't quite. Yeah, but I mean, Barry Ferguson never gave the ball away for one season. I think 2009, 2010. He was just one step ahead of everyone on the pitch all the time. It was absolute masterclass of a guy that was another guy that came to Blues at the right time. Perhaps Paik needs to just grow his hair then and dye it blonde. And you know what I mean? Make himself stand out and start putting himself out a bit more about there. Moving across slightly, mate. Blues have been fined for a quite sizable chunk for the fracas against Hull City, following on from obviously the fracas against Ipswich Town on the first day of the season. It's like over 200 grand. What would what do you think the message is going to be inside St Andrews? Really, because it's not an inconsiderable amount of money.
It's when you look at it, it's hold on. Just look at it in the cold light of day. Are Blues turning into the Detroit Pistons of the 80s and 90s? Are they the Championship bad boys? It's that's basketball, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is actually.
Thank you.
Just look them up.
Right.
The FA are clearly not happy. You look at the verdict and some of the terminology they've used. It's just basically saying it's constant systematic failure to control your own players, and that's the sixth misconduct charge they've been found guilty of. And the fines from last season they were going up incrementally, and now 100,000 for the Ipswich Ipswich Town, and then follow up again 115,000. If there's another mass confrontation, mass brawl, whatever you want to call it, and Blues get done again, I'd be very interested to see what the FA do. They might just go, right, we've had enough of this. I know, it goes up. There's a totting up procedure in terms of the size of the fine. They might just go, bang, have that.
Yeah, you're not listening. You're not taking any
So
notice.
it'd be very interesting to see what the powers that be, what the manager, and what the approach is to the players, because you don't want to take away everyone backing up one another. And I think we all. It was nice to see last season that everyone would have each other's backs.
Yeah,
we haven't seen that esprit de corps for a long time in amongst I've been eating a dictionary this morning for breakfast. We haven't seen that from a long time from the Blues teams, have we? It's been a very disparate group of people and what have you. But it's interesting. But on the flip side of that, the refereeing from that whole game probably helped contribute to the big ruck just before half time.
Yeah.
The missed challenge by Joseph on Patrick Roberts, and then I think it was Mark Leonard was like, I'm not having that. Took a bit of revenge, and Stansfield got involved. The benches cleared, and then all hell broke loose. But what do you think? I mean, how have Blues got to be careful? They've got to rein it in, or
I've got a degree of sympathy with him actually over the last two. I'm not saying that Connor Chaplin's reward for booting the ball into the tilt should have been Christoph Clara picking him by the throat, but it wasn't without, I wouldn't say not provocation. It wasn't without, like I say, a little bit of provocation. He shouldn't have done that really. He shouldn't have just smashed the ball into the tilt. And he could have, I know, look, it is what it is. Did Christoph Clara have to take the matter in his own? No. Did it have to escalate? No. But there was a bit of mitigation there, and I certainly felt I was there at the whole game, as you were, and it happened right in front of us, and it was a trailing leg that caught Mark Leonard, and I thought 100% it was a foul. Now referees, make mistakes. I do think sometimes they can have some more help from the assistants, who shouldn't have been a million miles away from that, who should have been able to put it on, sort it out. And again, obviously, it's in front of the dugouts. So, not the best place on the pitch to have it, because you've got the two sets of coaching staffs at each other's throats. So I do think there was slight mitigating circumstances. So presumably, whichever lawyer Blues employed to go down there and speak on their behalf would have said those things.
No,
so
it was a paper thing.
It was a paper thing.
Yeah, just admitted the charge and
Oh, right, they've admitted the charge. But yeah. I just wonder whether in that case then they were they should have employed somebody to go down there and mitigate, because the FA clearly, by dint of the fact they've handed out, they've increased the fine, aren't having it. They aren't having these pleas of mitigation. I'm looking at it through royal blue tinted spectacles, as you would expect. And I do think there was a degree of provocation. Do I want to see it continue? He might have to have a word with them. About mass confrontations. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And say, listen, I'm all for backing up. And if the situation warrants it, if there's a bad tackle or whatever, then go. But boys, you're going to have to show a degree of restraint.
It's difficult in the heat at the moment, isn't it? I mean, for Hull were fined £25,000 for their part in this.
Right.
So you look what Blues got done. And the comment from the FA, I'll quote, a consistent failing by the club to control its players. So that's over the last season, the 6 infractions.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. And I just hope that now opposition clubs don't think, oh, actually, let's go this lot, actually, because, they're walking a bit of a tightrope. Let's see how far we can push it.
Yeah.
It's quite an unusual situation.
Yeah.
It's like, like I said, just look up Detroit Pistons.
All right, okay. Right, so obviously the victory over Hull moved us to the fringes of the playoffs, following obviously a 4th straight home league win, which has really galvanised the club's season for better or worse. The wins over Millwall, Portsmouth, Norwich, and now Watford. So what do you think now, as we sit here before the QPR and Southampton games? What do you think will be the recruitment teams going through the mind in the corridors of power? Will we have a go at it?
It's interesting, isn't it? It's a good time to have a go at it, isn't it? With the way that the league is, we keep saying it. I keep saying it's a concertinaed league. Everyone's in with a shout, and I think that scramble for promotion by come March, April, it's going to be crazy, pretty intense. So if you can recruit strongly to enhance what you've got in January and have a good, a fair wind in terms of injuries, you've got a chance, and that I would include Blues in that. Again, the PSR elements have to come into it, and I'd imagine a lot would also depend on outgoings. Can Blues generate any revenue, or be creative with their accountancy in that regard? But I'd imagine they'll be looking. We've got half a chance here. But then again, every other team's probably saying the same, aren't they? What are your thoughts for the January window, which is it's only a few weeks away? So
yeah, I mean, I can see why they're after a left back. I think they'll try and send Buchanan out on loan. He's missed so much football. He's missed 12 months. It was looking at it this morning. It's 12 months since he did the initial injury, suffered the initial injury against Blackpool that has caused him so many problems. He's been out for a year effectively. So I think they're going to want to. They're not going to throw him straight back into the white hot heat of a championship battle. So I would imagine that he's pretty much, if he doesn't go out for a couple of months, I would maybe till the end of the season somewhere. So you can see why that's an issue for them. I think they're going to have to be a little bit position specific over what they're doing, a little bit clever. I just wonder whether or not cash in Kumas they might try and send back if they possibly can, and see if they can upgrade certainly with the winger as well. I'd like to see some pace and some pace up front, some more pace, some real get out of jail. My word, he's quick type of pace up front and a bit of power. Whether or not that's through the middle, I don't know, but I certainly think it needs some kind of attention. The rest of it at the moment looks pretty well set. Iwata can dip back into the middle if he needs to. Mark Leonard's can count himself unlucky to a large degree that Chris Davies has been so loyal to Paik and Tommy Doyle. Although I did say to everybody, I told you so. I'm going to say it about Tommy Doyle. I told you also. So I think they're going to have to be a little bit position specific, and like you, I think they might have to do one or two bits of jiggery pokery with the loan market. But that's where I foresee them actually having a good go. Just moving it to Southampton on Saturday, Cole. Bit of a strange season. Obviously, Ford employed a guy who cut his teeth in the championship, i.e. championship manager on FIFA. At the start of the season, a bit disrespectful because obviously he'd been at Lens for a considerable time. Well, still, but that's not worked out. I didn't realise quite how broken that club was. I was listening to something on BBC Radio 5 Live, and prior to still going, they'd won 4 or 5 games, I think, out of 50 odd. I mean, it was in a bit of a mess, but since then, typical Blues, they happen to come across teams who have just found their feet a little bit, and they've won. I think they won 3 out of their last 4, or 4 out of their last 5, with obviously the reversal at Millwall at the weekend being the one that stopped them in their tracks. But it's certainly a different flavour to what happened back in late October 2023, when I looked at the team a minute ago that lost 3-1. Jay Stansfield scored, but there's a lot of players in there who I don't think we'd be playing in this championship version of Blues. So how do you see this one going?
Like you said, he's probably could have done with facing them a few weeks back. Tonderecker, 32-year-old German, bumped up from the under-21s. He won his first 4 games. He just seems to have liberated them a little bit, and there seems to be a clarity about what they're doing. It just seemed to get a little bit confused under Will Still towards the end. And like you said, the club had been a bit of a mess. It's not been a good time for Southampton, but at the moment, withstanding the sort of late defeat at Millwall in the last weekend, they're in really good form, and it's very interesting. I just read through James McClare's opposition insight for our website, Forever Blues. It's fascinating. They've got a lot of attacking weapons up front. They get a lot of shots off, and they also have, they've got good pace, trickery in the wide areas. So they're going to be a problem.
Right.
And they will have that element of confidence from being sort of like down at heel to suddenly, they will have the old spring in the step with the recent run of results. So I think it'll be a very tough game for Blues. And as we know, at the moment, away from home, hopefully something's got to give. We've got to do something maybe a little bit different to eke out another draw or hopefully get a win. But I think this could be quite not an open game, but I think it will definitely stretch us, this one. We're getting them at the wrong time, essentially, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, I keep saying this, but I don't really know how else to sort of qualify it. But it seems to me that I've said before the West Brom game, this would be a good benchmark for Blues. I said before the Ipswich game at the start of the season, it'll be a good benchmark. I seem to be saying it all the time, but I genuinely think that the outcome of these two games away from home at Southampton and QPR in such a short space of time will tell us a lot. They'll tell us a lot about the resilience and the togetherness and actually the quality of because there's no question they're meeting Southampton at a difficult time. But will Southampton want to be playing the Birmingham City side with its tails up?
That's a good point.
I mean, we do carry a significant goal threat away from home. We can count ourselves unlucky to have not picked up points, certainly on a couple of occasions this season. Certainly at Middlesbrough, for instance. And Middlesbrough were in a similar situation. They were flying high at the time. So perhaps, if there is a bit more, I don't know how Chris Davies is going to tweak it, but to try and make it more competitive. And, if we can stop conceding goals in the first 15 minutes, that would be a help. Away from home where we're not chasing the thing. But I genuinely do think this will give us a really good litmus test as to exactly where this Birmingham City side is.
Yeah, and like you said, I think that first 20-minute period is going to be really important. Sounds obvious, but the statistics we mentioned before about the goals conceded, and like I mentioned, they've got a threat. I'm just looking here. Finn Azaz, 5 goals in 4 games. He's like doing tremendously well for them.
Ex-Villa as well, isn't he?
Well, and Adam Armstrong, his role's a little bit different. He's coming deep. He's creating spaces for others around him. He's been a really central figure for them. He's a threat. And then you've got Tom Fellows as well. So we are, as you mentioned there, we're talking about opposition threats and what they're good at. But you don't really want Birmingham City on your fixture list, do you?
No.
At the moment, which is again testament to the form Blues are in, and ultimately I think pretty similar to Watford. Southampton are possibly in a false position in the league at the moment, but that's the league. It's the way it is. Yeah. And Blues now, on, like I said, on the cusp, on the shoulder, 7th place, a point away from the top 6. Do themselves a power of good if they could go and get a result at St Mary's and then follow up on the Tuesday night at QPR with something as well. Yeah, that's great. Well, listen, I think we've reached the end of the road on this particular episode of the podcast. Thank you, as always, to Davison's Law for sponsoring our junior partners, Drain Tech and AMG Logistics and Bewley Spirits. Hopefully we'll see you all on the other side following some positive news away from St Andrews, which would be lovely going into Christmas. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe. It really does make a difference to us. And keep right on. Thank you.